Hey there everyone, and welcome to React Native Design course. In this video, we're going to talk about how you can understand the Flexbox, and I'm going to provide you some of the free resource that you can use to learn Flexbox. And yes, I have created some of these resources, so you can just rely on them. They are pretty good. Okay, so first thing that we are going to do before we move on to those resources is understand how we can do that in this just one video. So we're going to create a couple of components here, red, blue, and green, to understand how the Flexbox works. So first of all, let's just create a new file in here, components, and I'm going to call this as red. Make sure you put the first letter as caps and RNC. See how easy it is to get a component. Okay, and what I want you to do is just remove this text written here. We don't need that. And we're going to just say container and flex1. So now instead of this flex1, I want to say is something as fixed width and height. So we're going to call this as 100 and separated by comma, and height is going to be 100, and we are going to have a background color. So background color is going to be, oops, not like that. Yep, just like that background color, and we're going to literally mark a red here. Now this is not advisable for a design course that I'm putting a name like red. I should be using the RGB values or maybe at least a hashtag, but for that I also have resources. We're going to cover that up. So don't worry about that. So right now let's just have this, and instead of this Superman and text, now notice one more thing. You cannot just comment out the things just like that in React Native. It's going to throw you an error. So we're going to remove this, and we're going to just bring our component red. It's going to give us an error. Can you tell me why? If I just open this up on an emulator, it gives you an error. It says cannot find the variable red. Can you tell me the reason for that? The reason is simple. We haven't imported it yet, and we also missing the semicolon. Okay, so go ahead and get an import, and this is going to be red, and that is going to come up from /component red.js. Okay, there we go. Save that, and it should bring up this. Now notice the red actually is coming at the very center of the thing, red. We will discuss that in a second. First of all, let's create our red, blue, and green. So we're going to copy this time, all of that, and we're going to create a new file. And yes, you guessed that right. It's going to be blue.js. Paste that entirely, and we just need to change it as blue. That's it. And we need one more, which is green. And new file, call that as green.js, and notice how smoothly you are just creating components here without any worry about that. So green. Now let's just import that, and here's a quick trick about this atom is you can press your Command Shift on D. In the Windows it's Control Shift D, and you can duplicate any line. And what I can do is press my cursor here, hold down my Control key, or if you're on the Mac it's a Command key, and can just right cursor one more time. Now you have two cursor, and you can just replace red with blue. See how quickly it is? Just do that again with green. Hold down your Control key or Command key on a Mac, and this time we're gonna just do green. Okay, there we go. And let's just import this guy as well, and we're gonna say blue comes up there, and we're gonna have a green. Simple. Okay, now how does it look? There we go. We have three guys saying red, blue, and green. Now, since these components are of fixed width and height, we can play around with the CSS just directly here. Notice it says flex1. Flex is all about the ratios. So when I say flex1, that means this entire outer component should cover up my whole size of the screen, means flex1. The important part is the flex direction in React Native is automatically defined in the background as to be column and not as rows. In the web, it is defined as rows, and in this, it is defined as columns. So everything works according to that. And just to give you a little bit proof of that, notice that I'll remove all of these things. I'll keep the background here, okay? And I'll just remove this align item and justify content here. Now notice what happens when I do that. This is the basic position. Now we are saying margin 100 is here. We should get rid of that. Okay, there we go. So this is the basic starting point of React Native. Since the size, the width and the height of these red, blue, and green component are 100 fixed, that is why they are not taking entire screen. Otherwise, they could have taken that if we allow them. So flex1 means use the total space. So our outer container, the background white, is using all container. And then we are saying flex1. That means just like that. Now notice one very strange thing that might surprise you. When I say justify content as center, what is going to happen? All of this is moving down here. Now this is happening because in the Flexbox, everybody just assumed that the justify content means shifting that onto this axis, and it should be bringing up just here in the top notch. This is not going to happen. This is all dependent on what is your flex direction, okay? Since the flex direction is just horizontal, this vertical here, the column ones, that is why justify content brings it to the center here, okay? And you can always replace this guy here, that is flex direction, and you can just simply say flex direction can be of row, which is just like the web. And then if I just bring it and reload that, and notice now it is bringing into justify content is bringing center, because we have changed the default direction of this. At first it might sound confusing if you are watching the Flexbox very first time, but this is the most interesting way of how easily you can design. Now trust me, this looks a little bit hard at first, but it's gonna come up very easy in the upcoming videos when we'll be rolling out the things. Okay, and if you want to bring anything to the center, what you can do is just you can define two properties, justify content and align item, and everything is going to come up at the center without giving you any trouble. Super easy, super helpful. And yes, in some cases we will be reversing the direction of the Flexbox, but in most cases we won't be. Because of the user interface experience, and UX, you call that user experience. Now in the mobile world, user mind is actually trained to just keep scrolling, and that is why we don't change it that much often. But sometimes we have to, like for example, in the app, which is Amazon Prime, you see the horizontal scrolling quite a lot. In that case, is designing something like that, we will be changing these directions, okay? But right now, this is the whole story, is just make sure what is your axis. Your axis is columns, okay? And that is why when you say justify content, expect that it is going to come up horizontally here and not here. That's the only trick I wanted to give you. Okay, so in case you are a little bit worried about these Flexbox and all these things, no need to worry about, just keep carrying on with the syntax, and when we'll be creating a couple of projects, you will feel very much confident in that. And once you have done with this couple of projects, you're still facing problem, let me point you to the resources of the Flexbox. The first one is my free series on Flexbox. Just search on the YouTube Flexbox Hitesh. I do have a channel which is a little bit popular, over 100,000 subscribers just as of now. You can watch these videos, very helpful in understanding the web Flexbox, which can be implemented here. And there is one amazing guide by this blog, css-tricks.com, snippets/css, a guide to Flexbox. Amazing resource. Very quickly and nicely they have explained that why justify content works like that, what are the other properties you can have for justify content, and what can align item do for you. Notice align item is working here in this case. In our case it was a little bit different, but again, this is all you have to worry about. These are the free resources that you can try them out, but apart from that, don't worry too much. Just watch out the next project that we will be building up, and you will feel much more confident in how the Flexbox can be helpful. Okay, so that's it, and let's move on to the next project. Enough of the basics, let's create our very first project, which is actually can be used and reused in your projects. Okay, so let's catch you up in the next video.